protesters targeting what they call, quote, white spaces in New York City and Oakland, California over the weekend, tweeting the hashtag, quote, Black Brunch NYC. So you can hear what they're doing there. So here in the city, they marched into several restaurants, disrupted people that they believe can go to brunch because they have, quote, money and privilege. The protesters repeatedly reading the names of African-American victims killed by police, they say, including those of Michael Brown and Eric Garner. Listen to some of this closely. For those folks, David Webb is the host of the David Webb Show on SiriusXM Patriot and a columnist on The Hill. And Julie Roginski worked as a political advisor to former Senator Frank Lautenberg. Both are Fox's contributors. Welcome.
Good morning, Martha.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to those folks who thought they were going out for a nice Sunday brunch and dealt with that. David, what do you think?
Two words come to mind when I look at some of these protests. Put aside the common statement, we all have a right to protest or whatever. In public, they go into private businesses and interrupt them. Willfully ignorant. One, they base this on the every 28 hours report put out by a hate group, which is a Malcolm X grassroots organization. That's been debunked by everybody that's not credible. While they're protesting the police, last night 2 police officers are shot. You know how they're shot? They're trying to apprehend suspects in a robbery. The police are also citizens who put on a uniform every day and go out. They may have a right to protest in public. They don't have a right to go into businesses. They have another protest predicated on a lie, which is what this is. So, what are they really doing to advance their cause?
You know what? It's a great question. Let's pull up one of the tweets that was sent out by one of these protesters, and it says, "We're approaching our last brunch spot!" Exclamation point. Hashtag Black Brunch NYC. Interrupting white supremacy, one brunch at a time. Julie, what do you make of it?
It's interesting to me that they pick New York and Oakland, right? The 2 most liberal places on earth. The very people that they're protesting having brunch are people that voted for Bill de Blasio, whom they embrace. I mean, this is a city, New York City, that has just overwhelmingly voted for mayor, especially in the neighborhood where they were. They were downtown in Manhattan, interrupting these brunches. Those areas of Manhattan overwhelmingly voted for Bill de Blasio. The same person is ostensibly on the side of protesters and allowing to protest.
So who exactly are they punishing? It makes no sense. I mean, when you look at the numbers of what's happening in New York City is that the police aren't responding to certain crime scenes. And I don't know what the motivation is behind this, but they're either scared of what might happen if they go to these places, or they're a little angry that people don't seem to appreciate what they're doing. When you think about what happened last night with these 2 policemen who were shot, whose grocery store was it, right, that was being robbed at that moment? Was it the grocery store that, any of the relatives of any of these people owned? And how would they feel if their loved one's store was being robbed? But let's take a look at the numbers again. I'm sorry, because I just want to show people at home. Felony arrests down 40%. Drug arrests down 83% in New York City. Minor crimes arrests down 93% since December 8th, and 55 people, I think a 35% increase in murders in this city since December 8th.
They're not looking at what really goes on. And you talk about the grocery stores. Those are the bodega owners.
Yeah.
In New York City, there's one group, about 2,500 stores. I deal with those owners. I look at those guys and their organization. They're the ones being robbed in high crime neighborhoods. You talk about the CompStat report that comes out on arrests being down. It's also an issue of resources being taken out. When the police have to go and deal with protesters or possible blockages, they're not out there to do their job, which is to arrest people committing crimes or punish people who are breaking the law.
But I want to know what you think Bill de Blasio needs to do at this point, because he talked about, the recent crime statistics, not these, but the ones before this happened, as showing that New York can be a safer and fairer city, which the implication is that it didn't used to be fair. How does he need to change his way of approach?
Well, first of all, Bill de Blasio presided over the lowest murder rate, I think, in the city's in recent memory, at least here.
Not anymore.
David, let me.
The murder rate.
So my point is this, David, if you let me speak, which you never do. Bill de Blasio ultimately needs to stop hanging out with Al Sharpton, because there are plenty of civil rights leaders out there who represent the minority community, who are not divisive, who are not people whose Sharpton's job, and that is Al Sharpton's job, is to divide in order to reap benefit.
He's not going to, though. He's not going to, Judy.
I don't know whether he is or he isn't, but he needs to stop it.
Well, I'm going to use an example. Kesey Motley, who we hired to be his co-director of community relations in Brooklyn, right after the Eric Garner verdict was allowed. Go back to 2012 and look at her Twitter timeline. F the police and other things I can't say on camera. The attitudes de Blasio ran against the police. He presided over a low crime rate because of good policing that started in the Giuliani administration.
Absolutely. You know, my only hope is that the time that Bill de Blasio has had to spend with these families and with these policemen trying to mend this situation maybe has had an impact on how he sees these families and these people on the streets who are trying to keep people safe. But we will see. We will see. Thank you very much to both of you.
Good to see you, Martha.
Have fun at your brunch.
Go to brunch.
Go to brunch, everybody.
Martha, thank you. John.